Hello, everyone. This is John Adolfi with the Lost World Museum. Today, we have a special guest, Elfred Lee, who we'll get to in just a second. But the topic is Noah's Ark eyewitnesses. Now, our spotlight is going to be on a gentleman by the name of Ray Lubeck. And although Ray didn't see the Noah's Ark directly, like some of the other eyewitnesses that Alfred has met with and drew their memories in the 1970s and also 1980s, he had the opportunity, though, to speak to Ray Lubeck directly. And we want to get on record that conversation, and we'll give you the whole background and everything on it. But first, just to kind of let you know why Alfred is on this program, what's he all about specifically to Noah's Ark. I'll start, Alfred, by just making a way of introduction by saying that his pedigree, if you want to call it that, resume goes back to 1969, where they went searching with the Search Foundation on Mount Ararat, looking for Noah's Ark wood with the French explorer Ferdinand Navarre. Right. And then after that, Alfred had gone up and down the mountain a few times, also with astronaut Jim Irwin. Then, before and after that, he had the opportunity to interview two of the most credible eyewitnesses, and that's George Hagopian and Ed Davis. But this is going to be specifically on Lubeck, Mr. Lubeck. And so, Alfred, why don't we just get right straight to the matter as far as who made the introduction, where did you guys meet? And give us as much background on Lubeck and what you guys discussed.
All right. I've been looking up the dates since you called yesterday. On February 25, 1989, I was speaking in Palm Springs, California, Desert Hot Springs, actually, on Noah's Ark and our expeditions. And there was a man in the audience that I didn't know, but he introduced himself after the program, and he came to me with a big piece of brown paper, like a paper bag, shopping bag type of material, and he had been marking with a dark blue marking pen, and we spread it out on the hood of the car, and he showed me what he had seen in Midway during World War II. They had shown a movie to the soldiers, and it was a short news clip kind of movie.
Kind of a newsreel?
Not Hollywood. It was just a documentary, a news item. A Russian expedition had gone up in 1916, and it showed that with all the troops going up, and there was Noah's Ark completely exposed, and soldiers climbed up on it, took measurements, did a lot of examining, and went back to Moscow with the information. So that drawing, you have a copy of it, and I have the original here among my things. But you can see the Ark, and the description was very much like what Hagopian saw in 1908, 1910, and what Ed Davis had seen in 1943. And so all of these men agree what Noah's Ark looks like. And you can see the soldiers marching by and on down the mountain. So that's basically it. Do you have any questions?
Well, just as a little bit of background, because I did a little bit of checking online. There's very little written about Lubeck, but I was able to get to one website that gave a little bit of background on him. He was a first class machinist mate in the United States Navy at the time. And I was in the Navy, and I hung out with machinist mates. I know what they do. They're the engineers in the hull. They're the ones that operate the boiler systems for the propulsion of the ship. And so that's what his rate and his rank, which made him let's see, if he was first class, that made him an E6. And I was an I seaman in the Navy, which means that I was involved in the tier of communications. One of the things, or the job descriptions that we had, was to go get the 16 millimeter movies on shore and bring them on board and set them up and show them to the troops. Now, this was 1983, 84, 85, and we didn't have newsreels like they did back in World War II. You know, these were motion pictures, you know, Return of the Jedi or Endless Love or whatever it was that we were showing. They were modern films.
But they were Hollywood movies.
Yeah, those were Hollywood movies. So that's the background. And Midway Island is in the Pacific Ocean, and we had a base there. And a famous battle of Midway during World War II. And
right.
Ironically, you know, the 1943 is when Ed Davis went and looked at it. So apparently it was uncovered at that point too. Alfred, when Ed Davis saw the Ark, and I got a picture right here of it, he saw it broken into two.
Yes.
My understanding is, go ahead.
Do you have the other sketch that I did before this painting showing the juxtaposition of Hagopian up above and then Ed Davis down below? The two sightings. Actually, three sightings.
Right. So Hagopian saw this. Sorry, Alfred.
Yes. Yeah, that's Hagopian's view in 1902, 1906, in there. And between there and 1943, during World War II, it slid down about 100 feet or so. And you can barely see at the end of the white arrow one half of the arc, and then across the canyon, you can see to the left the other half of the arc. It's been broken in half. All right? But nothing you can see inside, which is very valuable. So we have good knowledge of what the ark actually looked like outside and inside.
So just to show the progression of where the ark has been and where it is now, George Hagopian, seeing this in the early part of the 1900s.
There.
Right.
Now your finger's on it.
And then Ed Davis in 1943 saw it like this. But when Ray Lubeck saw what the Russians saw, my understanding is in 1916 or 1917 that the ark was right in here, but not broken in two. Is that your understanding?
No.
Okay.
It was before Ed Davis saw it in 43.
Right.
The Russians saw it after Hagopian saw it in 1916. Colonel Alexander Kerr told me that. And so it was still up the mountain, not yet slid down and broken. Okay? So we have three men here. Hagopian, 42, 43, 04, 06. In there, my dates give a little problem.
It's 1902 and 1904.
Thank you. There it is. Okay, that's my first painting of Noah's Ark from George Hagopian from the first sighting. Okay, there it is. That's before I did the painting. This was on the first day I met him. This photo was taken by Mary Board, and a real estate agent that sold him his property. And she's the one that knew him and knew about his expeditions and sightings of Noah's Ark with his uncle. You can see his uncle at the bottom of the stairs. Okay, I don't know how much time we have.
Oh, we're good.
But those stairs were built by pilgrims from pieces of wood they found around. And so the pilgrims could go up on the roof. The ladder did not come all the way to the ground because the snow level was at about 10 feet the time they saw it. Okay? But when Hagopian saw it later, it was completely exposed, and this is the only time we know it has been completely exposed and seen, documented for us to know what it looked like.
Alfred, I want to ask you a question. This right here, was this something that you drew and created based on his sketch that he gave you?
No. This is, well, yes. Yes.
Okay.
He, that I did. I don't know what the date is on there.
1999.
Very good. So it's 2 years after 2 years after I met him in Desert Hot Springs, California, when I first met him, and he had that piece of brown paper, and he had drawn a sketch similar to this, but he came to our home when we were living in San Diego, and he spent a day or two with us at our home, and he gave this to me in person. And, you know, just like Ed Davis and George Hagopian were able to personally talk to me and point with their fingers and, you know, put this here and that there, and this is what I saw here. And, you know, it was great. And so that is the approved sighting by Ray Lubeck of the Russian expedition in 1916. Okay?
Yeah, we're gonna just to let you know, folks. Those are
Well, Davis saw it down below, broken.
for those of you who are watching this who want to know more about the Russian expedition. We're going to do a separate video on that, and we'll have the link below in the description. Alfred, I want to ask you one question, because reliability and the veracity, the honesty of these eyewitnesses is always called into question. I understand, especially if you're not a fan or a proponent of the existence of Noah's Ark, okay? And I know that you have been very sovereign in when confronted with people who claim to be Noah's Ark eyewitnesses, and I appreciate that. You'd
Heard so much, I'm very skeptical.
Sure. Now, but you had drew the memories of George Hagopian in the early 70s, and then you drew the memories of Ed Davis in the early 80s, and they corroborated, so much so that you realized that Ed Davis was telling the truth, and they dovetailed. My question,
By the way, both of these men passed lie detector tests. Okay?
Yeah.
Police lie detector tests. They passed.
So when you met with Ray and he showed you his scrap of paper, with his drawing on it. And then obviously you listen to his testimony. Again, folks, Ray Lubeck wasn't actually there. He watched 16 millimeter footage of the Russian expedition, and he was relating what he saw in the movie. Obviously, he didn't walk to it. Wasn't able to give the waymarks of that Ed Davis and George Hagopian did as far as on the way up. He was only able to give you what was shown in the movie. My question is, Elfred, how do you know that what he saw in the movie lined up with everything? What is it that convinced you that he was telling the truth, that he actually saw this movie and that the movie was accurate?
Well, first getting to know him a while, several days, you can pretty much tell if someone is an honest person. He was a Christian too, which in my mind helps. It's no guarantees true. The description, what he saw of the ark, matched perfectly with Hagopian and then Ed Davis. So we have three men, two of whom have seen it in person. And then here is Lubeck, who was in the Navy. And of course, I don't know how reliable someone being in the Navy is.
They can be relied upon if they're telling the truth.
All right. I believed him. And what he described around was very much like Ed Davis and Hagopian described to me. I mean, besides just seeing the ark and describing the roof, the windows in the roof, and all of that, which is very important, is the cliff, the snow, the fog, all the surroundings. They all matched up. These men both saw the same thing.
I want to thank Alfred for joining us. And for those of you that would like to continue this experience with the Russian expedition, we'll see you in that next video. Thank you, Alfred.
My pleasure. Keep on searching. Keep on hiking. Keep on praying that God will open it to us in these latter days, because I don't think we have much time left.
Thank you.